So anyway, I was like, dude, we should get all the executives or anyone who wants to get a mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
We had one of our purchasing guys, super long, shaggy hair. I don't know, out to here, like it was like a fro status. And I told him, hey, I'll pay you if you go get a mohawk. And he's like, hell yeah, I'll do it. This kid had the gnarliest mohawk I have ever seen.
Do you spike it up and shit?
Yeah.
No
his girlfriend made him cut it 3 days later, but
my
it was
gosh.
cool while it
Yeah,
lasted.
that's awesome.
Dude, that's so funny.
Yeah,
I got
Josh Parks cut all of our hair throughout football because we played football with him, and he would just come in the locker room. He'd charge like $10-15,
Yeah.
and he'd cut everyone's hair.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. That full circle moment.
Dude's the man.
Yep.
I got a mohawk, or not a mohawk. I got a mullet. It's growing in. You can't really see it right now.
Are you going to go full mullet with the stash?
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
It's going to happen.
That's commendable.
And it's so exciting because it started in quarantine. I'm expecting, like, by the time quarantine and all this stuff is over, like, the first appearance of me anywhere is going to be, like, full-on mohawk.
Tiger King with dark hair.
Yeah. That's Decky exotic to you, actually.
Okay.
It's going to be insane.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
It's going to be nuts.
So the 14th. The 14th is the new extension, apparently, right?
They already extended it again?
Yeah, it's a month from today, right?
Oh, damn. Okay, I did not see
I
that.
thought it was
Well,
the 4th.
That's what Zoe told me. So
Yeah. Well, I saw something to back that up.
Double check
The St. Paul.
yeah. Let's fact check. Can we get a fact check?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks, Marcus.
Marcus.
But yeah, I think the St. Paul mayor said he's extended to the 13th or 14th. Yeah. I saw something like that on Twitter. But yeah,
Okay.
we got a month left indoors, I guess.
Crazy.
How have you been handling it so far? I mean, we'll get into everything on the business side, but personally.
Yeah, to give a time frame real quick for our listeners, we're recording this on April 14th. Or is today 13th?
14th.
14th.
Yeah.
Yes. So today's April 14th, and we're about 30 days into quarantine.
Really? Is that what we're in? 30 days?
Yeah, because St. Patrick's Day was I like the 15th,
Okay.
around there, and that's the first day of quarantine.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's
Time's
pretty
flies,
crazy.
right?
Time. Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Yeah, we were in Chicago, and that's when we made this, not fully realizing how big this pandemic was about to be.
Dude, think about that. We, like, March 14th, I think, was that Friday before St. Patty's Day.
Mm-hmm.
That's when this poster was made a month ago.
It's interesting. So 2 weeks before that, I was out in California and I was at my entrepreneurship group that I'm a part of out there. Smaller group of people, but people from all over the place. And I remember the kind of main MC guy, and he was talking about coronavirus. And a couple of the guys, one of the guys is involved in the Olympics, and the guy from the Olympics at the time said, "Oh, the Olympics will be canceled." And we're like, "Fuck that! There's absolutely no way in hell." And then there were people from China manufacturers and all these different countries kind of chiming in the group, like, "Hey, yeah, this is like pretty serious." And everyone there was like, nah, like like the Olympics canceled. There's no way the Olympics would be canceled or postponed. That's so ridiculous. Like what? And yeah, we're in it.
We're in it.
We're in it.
Everything's canceled,
Yeah.
and for at least another 30 days.
Yeah.
We were talking like the first sporting event, probably going to be football. Like realistically, that's the kind of time frame it is, and I don't even know like how that will work.
Yeah.
So thinking about sports is mind-boggling.
It's like stressful to think about,
Mhm.
honestly. But I mean, we were just talking a little bit off air. Like, I've been really enjoying quarantine now that I've been able to get in a swing of quarantine.
Yeah.
Like, first couple weeks, you really don't even know what the hell is going on, and it's just hazy. There's just all kinds of different news reports. Like, I think there was a week where my screen time was up like 2 hours, and all I was looking at was Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I was just so like fascinated by what was going on around us, and then after that, it was just like, okay, this is our life. Let's see how we can figure out and make do.
Yeah.
It's freaking nuts. But I want to touch on like what you've been doing with Woodchuck. You pivoted pretty much your whole manufacturing side of your business.
Yeah.
We were just looking at your Instagram post. Like, one of your first announcements was, "Hey, we launched. We pivoted our business. We're making face masks. Partnering with 3M. We're making 50,000 a day." That was March 24th. March 28th, you posted, "Hey, everybody, mask production's going great. We're now making 205,000 masks per day."
Yeah.
And then I think you posted 2 or 3 days ago, again, saying you've now produce well over 1 million a week.
Yeah.
So I'm just like blown away that you quadrupled your production that you already built out probably, 7 days before the first time you started doing that.
Yeah.
Walk me through that freaking story. That's incredible. And thank you for what you're doing, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, everyone on our team feels super fortunate to first off have jobs, right? At this point in time, so many businesses have gone under. So many people have lost their jobs that we just feel fortunate to be able to, one, to have jobs, but two, to help out, like, and truly help and make an impact. And you know, the emails and the phone calls and the messages that we get on a daily basis from people saying, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Like we have nurses. I have this one video I saved as one of my favorite videos. And every time that shit gets like pretty heated, you know, or people are getting pretty hot at the office. I mean, we're dealing with a lot of shit right now. It's a good kind of check-in of like, hey, we're doing a really good thing here. She basically, you know, sent us a video crying saying, "We got your face shields today. And for the last 2.5 weeks, we've been using like garbage bags or plastic bags over our head to like cover ourselves. And like, we're just so thankful that we could like get these things." So, I mean, for us, it's been very different. You know, and we were, Zoe and I were on a kind of a virtual Bible study like last week, and they're talking about grief and grieving. And you know, we're in a very unique spot right now. You know, we aren't really dealing with quarantine. We're dealing with getting out millions of face shields across the United States. So we're staying healthy. We're practicing social distancing. We're making sure the teams that we're building out are also doing those things. But we're in a really like opposite almost kind of time. It's 10 times as busy as far as what we're doing than what even we were used to pre-corona. You know, we're at the office 24/7. We're not, you know, taking breaks. This Saturday I went up north and planted trees for a little bit to, you know, just get out for a little bit. But besides that, we're there 24/7 because there's such a deficit of this PPE.
Can you explain that a little bit? Like, even from the basic standpoint of like this face shield that you've made, what is that service providing? Because a lot of people are seeing the cotton face mask that covers the entire mouth. They've heard of N95, and then now you're making these plastic PPE ones. Can you kind of explain what that's all about?
Yeah, so the shield itself protects against splatter. So physical droplets, or think like a liquid essentially. So the N95 mask protects against, you know, the what you're breathing in, but it doesn't protect against, you know, splatter. So liquids, spit, etc. So if that would get on the N95 mask, you got to throw the mask away. And as we're all very well aware, there's a shortage of N95 masks, right? Mm-hmm. And even the KN95 masks that are coming in from overseas, there's a shortage of these things, which is why you see a lot of people making their own cotton face masks, which I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical expert, but frankly doesn't provide the type of protection that it's supposed to provide in this virus situation. So what a face shield does is protects the mask itself from getting droplets on it, right? And protects the face and the eyes and you know, our nose and things like that from getting droplets into it, from penetrating our skin and you know, areas like that.
Okay.
So it protects your face, but it also protects the mask, to be able to reuse the mask more than the face shields. Because the face shields, as we've found out, and as many manufacturers across, you know, we're not the only one making these things. We're making a lot of them, but we're not the only ones making them.
Well, you said a lot. You're actually making the most amount of face masks per week in the entire country
in the entire country. We haven't found someone that's making more than us, which kind of led into our partnership with 3M this last Friday that we'll be kind of talking about really in a really big way this Thursday. So 2 days from now, I will be posting about it. But we essentially, 3M came to us and said, "Holy shit, you guys," basically. And this is my terms, not 3M terms. Okay, disclaimer, anyone from 3M that's listening. They basically said, "Holy shit, you guys, you're making a lot of these face shields." I mean, we are literally making 10 times more face shields than any other 3M sub-distributor that's out there. So 3M itself doesn't actually make the face shields. So they make the masks, they make the respirators, right? But they don't actually make the face shields. So they have their sub-manufacturers making these. And their sub-manufacturers that are preferred vendor status, you know, typically it takes, 10, 15 years to get this preferred vendor status. Well, we got it in 3.5 days. They expedited the program because we were making so many of these face shields, and they knew that we needed a better supply chain in order to get these things made and out, because we were literally buying up, like, I'll give you an example. we dialed for dollars for about a day and a half and bought every single manufacturer of elastic that existed in the United States. There's a manufacturer that makes elastic on the East Coast. We bought literally everything they had in their entire warehouse. We've bought more elastic right now. We've bought enough elastic to stretch from the East Coast to the West Coast
Holy shit.
in a week and a half. So supply chain, right, is totally effed. And it's really hard to get large amounts of things and be on the front line of these supply chains. We were going to companies that were making the stuff, that were making the plastic, making the elastic, etc., and literally offering them cash to give us the supplies first. It was crazy. I mean, it was like Ozark status, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Jason Bateman.
Exactly. And, Marty Bird.
Marty Bird, right.
So having that relationship kind of totally changed the game for us, and which is why by probably this next Wednesday, so a week from today, we'll be making over 350,000 units per day.
Per day.
Oh my gosh.
Supply chain in 3M coming into the picture, and that will transform our ability to provide these to the frontline service providers, the doctors, the nurses, et cetera, on a completely different scale than even we are right now.
Mm. How did you know you were capable of this? Like when you saw that the mask was a opportunity for you and not the N95, but the PPE masks, how did you know that you and your company were able to go forth and take on this giant task?
Yeah. So we had actually, in all transparency, the week before that, so this was Thursday. This is a Thursday. This is 3 weeks ago. We had to furlough about a third of our staff. And that was pretty tough because it took us 2.5 years to build up the staff that we had built to. We had built an incredible team, incredibly talented team. But with all the events, because a lot of what our business did was, make wood products and custom wood journals and stuff like that for big companies' events, they stopped, right? Everyone canceled their events.
Twins, Red Bull, Minnesota Wild, you name it.
Yes. They all stopped. They stopped having these events. Oracle, IBM, AT&T, they all canceled their events. And they, for sure as hell, were not spending money on marketing because they were doing the same thing. So they're not spending money on marketing, right? Because they're cutting their staffs too. So 50% or a little bit more of our business totally dropped off within a matter of a week or two. So this is a Thursday. On Saturday, we actually decided we were up at the greenhouse, working on the greenhouse, and I said, you know what? I think they're going to shut down, or I think, we're going to be in only essential things starting Monday. And we have an order that we have to continue running because we still have a contract obligation. Obviously, I can't make my employees work, so I'm going to have to go in and run the lasers. So I was literally going in to run the lasers for the next 2.5 weeks or whatever, however long this quarantine lasted. And then I got a call from my buddy saying, hey, I got a friend that needs 10,000 of these shields. Do you think you can make it? So I said, I don't know, send me the thing. I'm actually heading to the office right now to go run the lasers. So I was like, oh, dude, we could totally make this super easy. He's like, I'm going to come over right now with some plastic, with some foam, whatever. We'll make it. We made the prototype. We got the approval, and then we got the order on Sunday for the first 10,000 units. And this is for Alina. So we made the units right away, but I posted that night saying, hey, we got this one order. We're going to shut down and we're going to kind of open up our production to make these. So if there's other people out there that need this, let us know. We'll definitely make more of these things because apparently they're needed. And I was thinking at the time, holy shit, 10,000 units. That's a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That is a lot of stuff. That's a lot of units of anything.
Right.
Yeah, and within, like I was telling you guys, within the next 24 hours, we had over 100,000 units of orders. Within the next 3 days, we had 1 million units of orders. So we had to solve for all these problems. Yeah.
And then the first things you had to do was expand your your manufacturing space.
Yeah. Yep.
You had to find new space.
Yeah.
I mean, so you go from capitalizing on opportunity where you all right, I can help the world right now with this pandemic to, okay, now I'm taking on so much that I don't even have the capacity for it.
Yeah.
And to give a little background for our listeners, you have a vision for architecture, that's your natural capabilities. So you have the long-term blueprint, ideology. So I love that, you're the man for the job.
It's actually crazy. I have a couple more questions about what you're talking about, but I was listening to our podcast we did pretty much a year ago around this time, and you had just finished your book, which I actually brought up here because I found it on I had finished reading it, I think 2 or 3 months ago, but the patch on the wood there, I want to pick that up and read that because I think that symbolizes who you are exactly and what you've been doing. It's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah. There's a little wood tree on it. It says, "How to start a business that will save the universe." That is kind of what we're doing right now. I mean, I don't want to say we're saving the universe, but we're helping a lot of people.
There's a problem,
yeah,
and you're solving it.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like you wrote that book over a year ago. Trying to help people, and you're coming at this from I'm just I'm an average guy who busted his ass to do what he wants to do and find this problem and solve it. And you're doing something right now that's totally opposite, or not even opposite, just totally different, something you probably would have never imagined yourself doing a year ago. So
yeah,
I just think that's just fucking badass, to be honest with you. I want to know, so like, I want to get more into like the how. Like, how does this all kind of come together with you having the first 10,000 order and having that idea that one night? Did you go right to supply chain and say, okay, we got to find every person that makes these 7 materials that we need to put this thing together? And then were you physically hiring people now to put all this together to get your production rates up, or can you just walk me through like your first couple steps?
Yeah. So the buddy that came to me originally, his name was Charlie, another buddy from architecture school originally. And he was there. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna show up on Monday." And I said, "Well, that's good because I posted and we have like over 100,000 units of orders ready. We got to like figure out how to make all these things." It honestly, and this is like kind of a cliche thing to say, but it's fucking true. Our team is fucking epic. I mean, our team is absolutely incredible. And when I say like it hurt to like furlough people, it fucking hurt because this team is awesome. And the people we had, and we were able to bring back, the good majority of those people already, which is awesome. But like our team is really good. We had a Monday morning meeting, and I basically told the entire team, or 20 some people, 30 some people, I said, "Hey, look, we're not going to make wood shit for the next couple weeks, at least." We started making these face shields. We got to make 10,000 of these. I posted it last night. We got 100,000 units of orders ready. Sales team, we're going to start selling these. Here's a sales sheet. I had made the sales sheet on Sunday. I made Zoe wear the face shield and took a bunch of pictures.
I saw that.
So I said, we're going to sell these face shields, sales team. Operations team, we're going to work together with Charlie, and we're going to figure out how to source all this stuff. And design team, same thing. You're working on the designs for the layout for this, so like the other sell sheets and the other stuff that they needed. And I was like, I mean, literally in that meeting, in the 15-minute meeting, we were able to pivot, and everyone was like, "Okay, we got it. We got our marching orders. Let's go." And like I was saying, within the next 24 hours, we had over 1 million units in orders.
Jeez, that's so crazy. So then physically putting these together, are there anything sort of machines that you can use to like bulk produce these or manufacture, or is it physically putting them all together?
Yeah, so there are way better ways than lasering them. Our capacity on lasering was about 55,000 units a day or something. Mm-hmm. So we were at that capacity pretty quick in the first couple days in the first week. So we started looking at different opportunities. Now what we're doing is rotary die stamping. I mean, there's a million ways to make these things, but now we're rotary die stamping.
Can you explain what that is for the people who didn't take manufacturing class in engineering school?
Yeah. I mean, I just learned about it, a week ago. So it's if you picture, I'm just trying to think of something that's a little bit bigger size to picture. Whatever. Picture a pencil, and imagine the pencil itself has like little knives on it. And then you like roll a piece of toilet paper through it, and the knives are set up in a way that it cuts out a shape, right? And when it keeps rolling, it cuts out a certain shape. It could cut out a square, it could cut out a circle, it could cut out whatever, but it cuts out a shit ton of them, right? So you roll the piece of whatever toilet paper through the thing, and it'll cut out a bunch of the shape.
Got it.
That's essentially what we're doing now. With
so you're punching out like square or somewhat
the shield shape,
elliptical,
with two little slits in it for the band. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's the plastic piece.
And then you plaster the foam piece on there. You tie the elastic on, and then you have the face shield.
The elastic is stapled right now. The new version we have is 3M grip lock.
Nice.
And it's something that we can get a lot more of, and it's a lot easier to order in really big quantities. But so we have a different version that we came out with, lower price point too, because our thing was, hey, we don't want to make money in this. We want to like make millions and millions of these things and get them into the hands of people that need them. So originally our first price point was like $5 or $10. And once we figured out the supply chain and we figured out we could get it down, we just started marching that cost down. Our current unit is at $3. We'll continue marching that cost down, or price down, and we will beat China prices within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
All with American manufacturers.
America. #America. Yeah.
That's super damn cool, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you started by, you said you had elastic companies that you called from the East Coast to the West Coast. Now you have that product that spans that distance. But in terms of the other materials, was that something that you got from 3M right away, or was that somewhat, how'd you outsource that? Other stuff?
It was the same thing. It was the same thing. Dialing for dollars.
And this is like Googling and calling.
Yeah.
Damn,
yes.
That's nuts.
And it was honest to God, it was like literally our team. I specifically remember one of the conversations because we had ran out of all the places that they could find for what's called PETG. It's the plastic, it's the shield, essentially, material. We had ran out. All the vendors we knew were out. And I literally, we went to our supply chain guy, and I told him to download every potential manufacturer in Wisconsin and Minnesota and the Dakotas. And we would all divvy it up between these 5 people, and we'd start calling them. And, halfway through the list, we found 2 contractors that now we're working with.
Wow. That is so damn sick, man.
Dollar for dollars, man.
Yeah. What has been like the, because I mean, you're not a professional face shield manufacturer.
No.
Well, maybe
you are
now. Right?
We are now,
after 3 weeks of learning. But what has
yeah.
kind of been the biggest learning curve, or something that you've learned that you were just like, geez, I never expected this from a face shield? Or maybe just through the whole process.
I mean, honestly, and kind of like I was saying before, people like really need these. I don't know, because I'm not a nurse. I'm not in the front lines. I know nurses. I know doctors. And like, dude, this thing is so simple. It is a simple mechanism. This is not a complex piece of medical. It is not a medical device by any means. It is a piece of plastic with a piece of foam and a strap on it. That is literally what this thing is.
Mm-hmm.
People are in such need of this stuff. And not just that, but the masks and things like that. I'm like amazed that, we're like a tiny little manufacturing company, how this is not solved, basically. Like, how are we the ones solving
did it get to
this?
you?
No, I mean, seriously, like,
Sure.
How is this not solved already? Which obviously creates opportunity for people. And we're so grateful and blessed that we can be a part of this solution. But I think this has really opened up people's eyes on an international distribution perspective of how reliant we are on other countries for certain things. And that, there's going to be, people are going to think differently after this in a lot of different ways.
Could you explain a little more on how we'll be thinking differently?
Well, I mean, that philosophically, that's a couple drinks in. I think we can get to that for sure.
I will keep asking that question.
From a manufacturing perspective, we were extremely reliant on a lot of these things to come at a very low price. And like I said, I'm really proud that we're going to be beating China's prices in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. The email that we sent out today, we get a lot of hate mail from China manufacturers now, like "fuck you!" ! They actually make me happy to see those.
I would actually love to see them.
Yeah, actually, I'll show one here and I'll pass it along because this was really hilarious today. I mean, this is just another one today.
Is it good English too?
Here.
It's gotta be.
Click on that.
Yeah, right.
Click on that video. I'll toss it to you. One of the many.
Oh my God. Why did you do so many? Fuck you.
China's pissed.
But so, we've been really reliant. And I think one of the things we learned, a lot of stuff got held up in customs and there were these things made or whatever, but we weren't, it took a lot of manufacturers that were able to be agile and able to move and able to change and just kind of step up to the opportunity and to step up to the challenge to solve the problem. And I think we are going to think differently about always just saying, oh, it's cheaper to get it in China. It's $1.50. Okay. It's $1.50 or $1.70 in China. We're just going to get it from China. Or whatever, country it's coming from. But in a case of extreme need, what happened is all of the manufacturers for this type of thing died out because they can't compete. They couldn't compete.
Because they were shipping in and there was just
they're
no
shipping in. Their
anymore.
labor's, $3 an hour or something, right? And with, as we found out, labor is a huge component to these things.
Right.
I think we're going to be thinking differently from that perspective of where are we buying our goods and how reliant on different areas are we? I think we're also going to be really cognizant of financials, and me included. I think pre this, a lot of people that didn't have to grow up through the Depression or didn't have to grow up through really big downturns, like frankly our generation,
right,
grew up pretty cushy. Even if you grew up in a kind of lower income household like myself, you grew up not having to see a lot of strife, right? Well, this is strife. I mean, lots of people are losing their jobs. Lots of people are not able to pay their mortgages. Lots of people are overextended. And I think it's going to make our economy think a lot differently about how we're spending money. And I think that is going to be one of the biggest effects from coronavirus. It's not going to be that we had to all sit in our houses for 2 months or 3 months or whatever, but the spending habits are going to be completely and frankly, in my opinion, forever changed in a lot of people's minds. It's going to change a lot of things. So many businesses are already affected by it. Sure. Yeah. Your sales drop off, but this is like just the beginning. Even when this thing is over, I think that's the start of even a completely different
buyer's market,
consumer chain, everything. Yeah,
it is fascinating. And Andrew, I mean, you sell ads all the time and are kind of on that seller side of the consumer market. So like, have you already seen a difference?
Yeah, people have not stopped buying. We sell like microphones and your Zoom corporate America.
Yep.
They're still purchasing
Yep.
at
that
Wits
sounds like
End.
something would buy a lot right now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we also work for a company, All American Company, and they make All American clothing.
Yep.
And like snap your fingers, people are buying at Wits End on there too because they believe that like get America back working, like trust America.
Yep.
And that's why I'm so excited to have you here today. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Woodchuck prior to making face shields was primarily U.S. operated.
Yep.
Okay, so you've been like
100%.
100%. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. That's incredible. Like you have taken that vision from the get go and employed America and then supplied America. It goes a long way. And from a consumer standpoint, I am so curious. Like you just mentioned, the changes you get from crises are astronomical, and we haven't not really endured any of that yet. And since day one of this, Deck and I, since we're 23-year-old recent graduates who have stable jobs, are not necessarily super affected. So we have been sitting back, like looking at it, like
we've actually been sitting in the studio and talking about this very thing of like, how is the world actually going to change?
How's the world going to change?
Yeah.
And that is like the most thrilling part for me is like, what are we going to do about this so this doesn't happen again? But in reality, like, what can we do to like make sure that we're better because of this?
Yeah.
And there's so many different routes, whether it's like virtual communication in the corporate sense. I'm super curious on how like public events are going to change.
Yeah.
How will sports handle this? Will they start incorporating like virtual experiences? And that's just like tip of the iceberg stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think like events and stuff will be back, like we were saying earlier, like where football's going to be back in the fall and all that? Or do you think it's going to be different, or it'll be back but different or something?
Yeah, I think everything's going to be different. I do. I don't know a lot from the event side, and even from the large to medium to small companies that we work with on an event side perspective. No one, at least in our market, has replanned their events yet. right? It's no one's replanned them. So frankly, we don't know, right? We don't know if they're pushing them out till August because they are indefinitely canceled. At least all of our stuff that we've worked on so far that we were going to work on. I think I personally like to look at the positive side of the thing, and there's always a lot of negative, and it's easy, I think, really easy to get caught up in the negative and the negative things that will be affected or changed. There's so much positive that has already come out of this, and it's super unfortunate and terrible. People are losing their lives, but there's so much good coming out of this from a financial health perspective to a family health perspective to a recognizing, kind of being able to live again, live for life, not necessarily work, spending more time with your families. There's a lot of good that's coming out of this. And the good personally that I see, and the good that I like to talk about on social and emphasize on social, is the people in the company stepping up during this time. Like today we had a feature, I don't know if you guys saw the video we posted, but a feature kind of highlighting one of our employees
who's wanting to be a nurse.
Yeah, exactly.
So
stepping up in a time where people are super scared, right, that everyone's dying, and saying, no, I want to help. I want to help right now. I mean, those are the people, I don't know. I absolutely love that. I love the people stepping up, and I love looking at the people and the companies that are stepping up right now to do something better and to make it to make positive news, basically. I think stuff's gonna be really changed. I don't know. For me personally, I have a totally financial different outlook, right, on this. We were kind of rocking and rolling with the business. We had our numbers for the year, and we were leveraging ourselves, and we were trying to, we're pulling all the stops, right? We're trying to grow as fast as we can possibly grow. There's a reason why other companies, don't try and grow super fast. It's probably because a lot of them have been through downturns like this and realize, hey, we should have some stockpile, or we should have, we should maybe be a little conservative. And I think, I don't know, that's the biggest thing that I've learned through this so far is the buying habits and the financial habits and things like that, I don't know, at least personally, will forever be changed from this.
Well, and you touched on it earlier about how our generation hasn't really experienced a lot of strife, and this is the first time. And when you compile that on top of the last 7 years for you building Woodchuck and just grow, right? That's always been the thing. So I don't blame you for not just being super bullish in your attempts, right? It makes total sense. Bullish is the right word there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I just, I think I'm getting better at this finance stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, it makes sense why you would be in that situation. So I don't think there's no reason to fault that. But how do you react? How do you respond? And it just blows my mind because, I just want to know. I want to know how people when we talk about the buyer's market, what does that mean for just I want to talk about the entrepreneurship side of it, right? Because it was being an entrepreneur 4 weeks ago was sick. You were the Gary V, you were this and that. You're
Dude,
I'm gonna start my company, and Andrew and I have been riding that kind of wave for the last 3 years to a certain degree of average person, start your own company, find what you love to do. And now when this thing hits and you talk to, different people who are I want to quit my job and go do this, I want to do that. You're you know what?
I'm lucky to have a job.
I'm really excited that I have this job, and I'm much more thankful about my opportunity and that I have the ability to at least put 20 hours towards a side hustle or, this, that, and the other. So it's just the dynamic shift from a mental side is very interesting. Again, it goes back to just the idea of that it's much more conservative. There has to be a conservative side to your attack now going forward.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm really thankful for that we did, from an entrepreneurial standpoint early on is, we had kind of set up, hey, our mission statement, we want to put nature back into people's lives, bring jobs back to the U.S., and bring quality back to products. And a big piece of that was manufacturing our own stuff. Because I like making stuff, and that was just a part of the jobs piece, and we wanted to be able to make our own stuff. And it was not by any means a good financial move. Again, a really good finance person would have said, this is stupid. why are you guys buying this really expensive equipment?
Well, what are they going to say? Outsource to China
Exactly.
or Thailand
No,
or somewhere over
outsource.
there.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could have made 15 times what we were if we would have just outsourced and had somebody else make it and just sold it, right? We could have made, I mean, that would have been the right financial move in the last 8 years. But we weren't. We were bullish on the idea of we wanted to make our own stuff. Not just because we wanted to make our own stuff, but because we liked making different stuff. And, 3 years ago, we came up with Woodchuck Interiors, and we started doing interior paneling to diversify what we were doing a little bit and to have, a market in the interiors kind of space in case we hit a recession, which typically in a recession, remodeling goes up. So, that's kind of why we built that. Well, Corona's like a totally different thing. It's not really a recession. Remodeling's not going up, but we built that because of that, and we manufactured the stuff so we could do that. And the only thing that truly allowed us to pivot here, and I think this is the word that I've been using a lot over the past couple of weeks, is pivot. What allowed us to do this was our ability to pivot, period. We would not have been able to pivot if we wouldn't have had the manufacturing capacity or capability, period. That's so if we would have chosen over the past 8 years to outsource manufacturing, make more money, whatever, and that was our goal, we would not have been able to pivot. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did. So very grateful that we kind of stuck with our guns and said, we want to make stuff and we're going to continue to make stuff. And that's why we were able to pivot. It's because we have the capability to do that.
Yeah. Congratulations to that, man. That's incredible. Do you think, and correct me or stop me if I'm crossing a boundary, but do you think
there's no boundaries?
All right.
There's no boundaries.
There's no fucking boundaries.
No
There's no
fucking
fucking boundaries. Do you think if the face masks, if you didn't get that call from your buddy saying 10,000 face masks, are you able to manufacture them? Do you think you'd be trending and going out of business because events are starting to are canceled indefinitely,
Yeah.
and there's no one's making custom made products anymore?
Absolutely not. We would not have gone out of business, but it may have been just myself and John. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can't call it going out of business if you still have an LLC.
Right.
I think and that's really the mindset. I mean, it honestly, truly is a mindset. And at the end of the day, it really does come back to like putting nature back in people's lives. I mean, it would have been very different. You know what I mean? Here, it probably would have been just John and I would have been just getting off of a laser shift. Actually, not even 3 hours from now, making stuff and that would have been my life for the next couple of years, trying to rebuild that company.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So no, I don't think we would have gone under just because we're so bullish. Bullish is a word of the podcast.
Yes.
The bullish podcast.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
On our company and what we want to do.
So going off that, the last 8 years has been buy one, plant one. Now you've spent the last 3 weeks making face. Well, now you're the biggest face shield manufacturer in the country or the world. What's next?
So we will be opening up a medical distribution company after this, with our relationship now with 3M and just our distribution network. We will be opening up a medical distribution company. I'm really excited about that. Doing this over the past couple of weeks has been incredible, and obviously it'll be a completely different business than just making face shields. But our ability to help truly change people's lives and affect people's lives in a positive way has kind of opened up this other door of our team that was just doing this before is capable of doing probably 10 times what they were doing before. And I've witnessed that in almost every single circumstance, from purchasing to manufacturing to selling. And everyone has a new ceiling now, and I'm the ceiling pusher, right? That's my job as the traction visionary guy. It's my goal and my objective to push everybody's ceilings. That's why I have our little survival trainings, right?
Yes.
I learned truly that our team is capable of 10 times more than what they were doing before, and so we'll be doing a lot more stuff after this.
Wow. And then I know you've been the conservationalist the whole time as well. Is that something that I can't imagine you'd pivot away from it, but is there something is there something where it takes a hit a little bit, or I mean, what in terms of that perception, how does that change?
So we'll still have Woodchuck buy one plant one, absolutely, and we'll hopefully as the market starts to kind of come back, a lot of people have said, hey, we love what you guys are doing, we love the brand, we're going to be supporting you guys when this is all over with our events and everything, so that's great, that's fantastic. So we'll still have that sector, we'll continue to build that company. That's still my true passion. I love nature, I love getting people to nature. This will be a different thing, and I can almost guarantee you there will be some type of give back component to that as well, just because I think that give back portion circulates itself through the culture and is a part of the culture, and frankly is the culture, and is what attracts good talent. It attracts sales. It attracts a lot of good things. So,
right. What's cool too about it and is the fact that you are, again, American-based manufacturing, and now you're projecting within 2 weeks to beat China. Do you think that can hold? Like, you can hold that price, you can remain competitive? Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that is like the true win out of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Is that you're proving that the system that everyone says is flawed is actually you can do it.
American ingenuity in the past 3 weeks, and like I said before, like what am I most whatever about? It's the American spirit and American ingenuity. The companies and the people stepping up in true American fashion has literally been absolutely incredible. I mean, truly, it's witnessing this from, the scale of a tiny little manufacturer like us all the way up through the executives at 3M or whatever hospital organizational chain that we're dealing with, where typically you have to deal with 6 weeks of red tape to cut through. It's incredible. I don't know. It's not that I didn't have an incredible amount of American spirit before this. This has revived it on an entirely different level.
Dude, that's killer. That's very well said, because like I'm thinking through right now, like my dad works in the restaurant industry, and he's in the forefront of having to let go thousands of employees because they don't have restaurants to operate anymore. Like, they're just doing takeout and a couple catering things, and they have a wine club membership, but like they have cut so many people off of it. And he is talking to all of your top line restaurants, like, how do you handle letting go of your employees? What are the benefits you're giving them? How can we be what's the word you just used? Ingenuity. How can we have that innovative thought process to like make sure we're treating these people of value and we're not just letting them go off to the wayside? Like, people are taking responsibility. They're not shying away from the chaos, and they're making changes for the betterment of the people next to them and the people all around them. And I think that's the coolest thing. Like, from the get-go, you saw, like, and I'm going to keep bringing back sports because that's what I like see day to day, is like, I'm a sports geek. Like, the sports industry took ownership and like, we're going to cancel everything instead of making the millions of dollars that we could, the billions of dollars that we could. The NCAA cutting March Madness, like, that was so selfless to do something like that when they could have easily like figured out a way to make money off of that thing. And so when you speak about how the ingenuity of America right now, taking ownership, and like, that's what excites you, I'm like riding that vibe entirely. And it's very cool to be young and witness all of it and know that you can learn from this and have the ability to make that impact in the same manner.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's very cool. And I want to continue down the Ben VW track a little bit more, because you're talking about pivot. You just made a big pivot in your own life. You got married.
Engaged. Whoa,
sorry.
Whoa.
Engaged.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy there, bud.
That is the M word, dude.
Yeah.
Not yet.
The soft E word. You got engaged, lowercase e, in Hawaii just a few weeks prior to this all going down.
Yeah.
We were doing the Embrace North challenges together.
Yeah.
And 1 week you were there, the next week you missed, and the next week you came back and you were engaged.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
How was that? You went down to Maui. And
Kauai.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was awesome. It was the last state that I wanted to check off my list. I love epic shit, and it was also my 30th birthday. So I had kind of planned that out along with, I was planning on proposing. And I didn't want her to know. So a couple weeks before was her birthday. So I'd got her a pair of earrings and said, hey, like, look, stuff for the business is pretty tight right now. Like, I'm thinking probably going to be a year and a half out, before maybe we get engaged. Just to really set the table to make sure she didn't expect anything. But no, it was awesome, man. It was incredible. We hiked up to a waterfall there. We had a blast. We got a cool house. Had a bunch of friends and family there. It was really, really cool.
Awesome.
And then 2 weeks later, coronavirus.
Yes.
2 weeks later, coronavirus. It's just so funny how you like hold on to those like last memories of what you were doing before
Pre-corona.
BCE.
Yeah.
Before the Corona era.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you had brought up, you're like, what were you guys doing with that, little girl on the podcast or whatever? I was like,
that sounds weird.
yeah, I know, right? That's not a great audio bit. That's not a great audio bit at all. Nonetheless.
We were at the auto show.
And we had a little girl on our podcast. That was like our last Rylan. Yeah, that was our last podcast interview pretty much before the coronavirus. Like that whole experience.
The experience in the North thing. I mean, we were doing that. Like,
Embrace the North. Yeah.
Embrace the North. That was kind of going on the whole time anyway, right?
We continued through it.
We pushed through.
Yeah.
We pushed through.
How gnarly is that, by the way? Like, I assume that was your first time like jumping in the water and doing that kind of workout, or have you done that before?
So the guy next to me has up at my cabin has a sauna, and he in the middle of the winter, opens it up or whatever, has a little ice auger thing. So we do that actually quite a bit.
Oh, nice.
But not, we didn't do it for like minutes at a time. You'd like go in and see how long you could hold your breath under the water. So it's like maybe 30 seconds, right? 45 seconds. Never anything like that. That was intense.
That was intense.
That was boundary pushing.
Yes.
Have you gone back and done it since?
I did it a couple times. I did it like maybe 4 or 5 times.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Shout out Luis getting us going.
Dude,
and Jason Coons.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who got you locked in or dialed in on that? Coons.
Yeah,
of course,
Coons.
Coonsy.
Yeah, I was at church and he's like, dude, come to this thing. I was like, I need a little bit of spice in my life right now. It sounds like fun. And it was awesome. What are we gonna do in the summer?
We're trying to get go to like a local high school and like go around a track and work out, and then have ice buckets, like tin can ice buckets.
Okay.
And then we'll just be like rotating in and out of that.
Okay.
There was also talks of going up to Duluth.
Yep.
Into is it Superior?
Yeah.
Yeah, into Superior, and seeing if that water's still freezing up and through May, because it will be.
Yeah.
And trying to test the boundaries up there.
There's also been talks of Luis has like different just random remote places up north where he just wants to like take people to these locations and then just do crazy workouts over there.
That's awesome.
So if you have any like different places, like I know up in Cushing,
you can come up to my place in Cushing.
Like we should do something like that where we just go on like crazy hill. We do like hill runs and kettlebell swings, and then we somehow get ice involved.
It's awesome.
It'd be insane.
It's awesome.
It'd be absolutely gnarly.
Yeah.
Embrace the North. God,
so ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
Everyone is so cold. It just half the shit didn't even make sense.
No, nothing made sense.
I did my first ever 20-minute plunge like right when Corona hit, because I don't know, I was just feeling off my rocker again.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned earlier, like I was spending like 2 extra hours on my phone just like looking at all the news, like what the fuck is going on here. And one of the mornings I was like, or the night before I was like, I'm already planning on going to run in the morning. I might as well run to Cedar Lake, jump in, and then run back.
Yeah.
And I get there and I realize like I'm extremely unprepared. Like I have no towel. I'm like, how am I going to tie my shoes after I get out? Like there's all these just different things. And I like dipped my toe in the water. I was like, fuck that, I'm running back. 2 days later, Jason Coons does this challenge thing. It was right in the hot peak of Instagram challenges and crap. And I will not do a challenge right now for anybody out there, but he challenges everyone like, okay, get in the water, do something. I was like, okay, might as well. So I ran back and did it, but more prepared, and did a 20-minute plunge for the first time. And I was just like, it's crazy how like
awesome.
Your mind in the crazy thing for me is I did it by myself, right? Like before it was, let's get a group of 30 dudes, let's work out, let's make this like a very ceremonious thing, and then you get in. Like you're the most mentally prepared. But waking up at 5 when your alarm goes off and 25 minutes later you get in the water, like dude, that was an entirely different feeling.
Yeah.
It's just so nuts. But I don't know. I'm excited for what the summer is gonna bring. Honestly,
I'm curious, right?
curious, right? I don't
We
know.
had a plan of hosting an event, Bochella. That's like our big year
Yeah,
event.
I remember that. Yeah.
So
Okay.
we were gonna one up it this year, hosting in Stillwater. I mean, we're still trying to figure out if we can do it in August.
Dude, for sure.
Yeah.
August, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We needed to hear that.
Dude, even if everyone has to wear a hazmat suit, you fucking do it anyway.
We fucking send it.
Right.
Dude, do it anyway.
Right.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure the sponsors are okay for that, though. Like, I don't know how.
Dude, I'll sponsor that.
Oh, fuck yeah.
We'll provide the face shields.
the PPE.
You guys can get. We'll get 3M in on this. They'll get the hazmat suits.
Sick.
It'll be
Oh.
cool.
Actually, that's not a bad call. Like, design. I feel like the face mask, in your sense, but also like the cotton one that
Yeah.
more like majority of people will just wear now.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like a part of your fit. Like that's gonna be like fashion now.
Dude, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, we got to figure out how to like still live. Here's the thing. I mean, yes, people are dying. This is a serious thing. We have to take it seriously. But we
Yes.
also have to figure out how to continue to live. Like we can't all be hobbits for the next 500 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, wear a hazmat suit and wear a respirator. Dude, have a party. Go out, get outside, like go do your thing. Just don't make out with strangers and,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have some hygiene.
Yeah.
Like, do your due diligence. We were talking with one of our buddies who does sales for the Timberwolves. He does season ticket sales, and he's like, I don't know, maybe we'll have just care packages. They walk in, they have wet wipes and their own Timberwolves. It says "Go Wolves"
Yeah.
as a face mask, and
Yeah.
we're spacing out the seats a little bit more. Like precautions will be taken. It's just what measures do you think are necessary? Which ones do you think are too extreme?
Bochella's got to happen.
Bochella's got to happen,
Bochella's got to happen.
and that one is just enough. That's like playing the fine line.
Right, but it's just the thing that just is so weird to me is like, where's the line? What's socially acceptable? Is it 68,000 people in a stadium watching a
Yeah.
Vikings game, or is
Yeah.
it not that? Like where? Especially for the people who are probably making the line or at least influencing the line are the
Yeah.
ones who are actually making the money. Like for a great example, like I work in construction right now, and the reason that construction is still an essential business, like I'm building the parking garage at the airport that went from the biggest need for the airport at Terminal 1 3 weeks later is now probably not even going to be used for the next 2 years because no one's really traveling as
Dude,
much.
you're helping build that parking garage. That is the largest parking garage I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like
Seriously.
it's like 71 football fields
Yeah,
of concrete.
he's been on this job for
2
2
years.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, literally, that thing is huge.
I walk around it every single day.
Wow.
I know it.
Wow.
Man. That big the big facade, all the blue and white.
Yeah.
Not to brag, that's me. I helped hang all that shit up,
That's
which is pretty
awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But like construction, right? The reason why that was the reason that was held essential. No investor is gonna go build a building right now and take
Yeah.
out a loan yet. Hopefully they will.
Yeah.
So I have a job, but like, it's because the unions were up the governor's ass. Like, hey, if you deem us not essential, what's gonna happen, right? Like,
yeah.
our workforce is so massive that they're like, okay, we can't cut it. But I'm just using that as an example as like the influence on like what a Vikings or what the NFL, the NBA, or any of these government agencies, they got to be talking with the CDC and the feds and everybody like, hey, where is this line? Because they're going to want to sell out stadiums because like a Brooklyn Nets, someone who the only reason they're a team right now is because they're able to sell tickets. Well, now that you take that out of it, like, now what, So I'm curious as to like, is there a line?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
We're not gonna solve it here.
We're not
today.
solving it
We're not gonna
We're
solve
not
it.
going to solve it. We could try, but we'd probably be wrong.
God
We
damn
would
it!
be wrong.
It's so nuts.
We could take a stab at it. Oh,
But-
man.
I want to know from your perspective, Ben. Like, so now it's cool to see like you've pivoted, and I think this is like a very defining moment in probably what's in the span to be something massive. How does that impact your mindset and reflecting back to that why that you wrote in that book over a year ago? Has that changed at all? Has it maybe morphed into something or evolved into something bigger?
Yeah. So for me, my like kind of disconnect time, for me, my disconnect time is typically like when I'm flying to places. It's the only time that I typically journal, and I like tell people to journal a lot more than I actually journal. Like when I'm going out and talking and stuff, I'm like, oh, you should journal every day. I like journal only when I'm flying, not when I'm flying.
The truth comes out.
But like when I'm in the passenger and I'm flying.
Right, because you're a pilot.
Yeah, that's a sick I fly planes brag.
Yeah.
Right
it's a slight way to say like, dude, I just got my pilot's license. It's but no, seriously, honestly. And I haven't flown in the past 2.5 months or something. So I have a mental coach, or what I call a mental coach, and executive coach, whatever. And we were talking about this the other day because everyone's habits have changed, right? Like all of our habits have completely changed. So like even the people that, I built up a great routine, I work out, I eat, every time I fly, I'm making sure I journal for at least an hour or two each time I fly. And that for me was a great kind of, for me to like pull myself out of the day to day and like think about that higher level thing. What I realized is when I stopped doing that, I also stopped that routine of thinking about the higher level things. So anyway, I had to integrate that back into my life. I just kind of wanted to point out that, like, we all had our routines like prior to this, and we, whether you had good routines or bad routines or whatever, but I think the routines is like a really important thing to point out because a lot of people are getting thrown off kilter, myself included. And up until recognizing the fact that like, hey, a couple of the healthiest things that I was doing for myself, journaling, probably the number one healthiest thing I was doing for myself, and then working out, both pretty much completely stopped. Right. Mm-hmm. So it was easy to do that because, whether either you're staying at home or you're working a ton, it's easy to get kind of thrown off that routine. But anyway, what does that look like in the future, and what does that why look like? I was able to connect with that over the past week, really, because I started journaling again and saying, what is this? This is a separate thing. Woodchuck is its thing. This is a separate thing. What does it look like? This mission, what we're doing right now, is about helping save people's lives. What does it look like a couple months from now? It's probably about helping save people's lives too, but it might not be face shields. I don't know what the hell it is. It could be distribution of, I have no idea. But it's probably something in that medical field, and that's a separate company. That's a separate thing.
Oh, separate company entirely. It's not
separate
gonna be like
company.
It's not gonna be like Wood Health.
It might be Woodchuck Medical. I don't know yet.
Right. Okay.
But yeah. It's going to be a separate vision. It's going to be a separate mission. It is going to be a separate entity, right? That's focused on something different than putting nature back into people's lives.
That's fascinating.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, Marcus, it looked like you had an inkling. No inklings. Sorry.
I did not have an inkling.
Oh, okay.
No,
Sorry.
I was just listening along.
Okay, right on. This is Marcus, by the way, Ben. I don't know if
What's up, Marcus? We
How you
met.
doing?
We met earlier in the doorway.
We did.
Yeah. Marcus, do you have any questions for our buddy Ben right now?
I was trying to think of a few off the top of my head, and I just couldn't come up with many. The biggest one that was just kind of a more relaxed kind of question was, what are we all personally looking forward to in the summer? Because we talked about what we're looking forward to with Embrace the North. We talked about what we're looking forward to with like events. But what are some personal things that we're looking forward to?
I think Bocello, right?
Yeah, Bocello.
I think Bocello.
The idea of being on a boat in the sun with music playing with
Yeah.
your buddies closer than 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, that
That
just
sounds pretty awesome.
sounds
Yeah.
like electric.
Sounds
All-
pretty kick-ass.
That sounds incredible. That's
Mhm.
something you guys could be shining positivity on in people's lives, looking forward to this incredible event, even if you're in a hazmat suit.
Yeah. Right. People look at the hazmat suit as negative. We look at the hazmat suit as the suit of opportunity.
The suit of opportunity to mark your Bocello time in 2020.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, I think my mom has been giving me a ton of shtick for this, and it's the fact that, I'm very lighthearted. I like to make jokes about a lot of things, but boiling it down, like I'm just looking at the positive as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Are you challenged a lot of the time? Because I feel this a little bit of just like, it's so easy to find the negative that sometimes like that positive line is dwindling a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because I know there's a lot of people out there like that who are sucked up in the negative. What would you say to someone who just, what could they do to find more positive in their day to day?
Yeah. I think, at least personally, can be significantly influenced on what you're watching and what you're reading. 100%. Even myself,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm pretty bullish, right, on like my own
That's the
vision and my own
fifth time.
views. So, and I realized even actually prior to doing the face shield stuff, I was watching the news 24/7, wondering what the hell is going to happen to my business. Everything is shutting down. Oh my God. Every single article coming out is terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I was getting in a pretty negative mindset. And I think it's easy to do that when we're consuming a lot of negative material. Frankly, I only check statistical data now, like online. I might catch I might catch 5 minutes of the news before I turn the Ozarks on. But besides that, I'm not consuming a lot of negative news, and I've stayed away from that completely. And frankly, I have to stay away from that as far as like where we're going and casting the vision and casting positivity for everybody else. But yeah, my advice would be stop watching negative shit, right? Stop watching the news and the articles that are saying everything's in the shit can and everything's going to hell. Go look at the positives. And if you can't find the positives, Google statistical data. Google stats. The stats show you that this thing will end. It does end, and even places where it was terrible before. So no, there is an outcome. There is something on the other side. And there's a lot of really good people and a lot of really good companies doing really good shit right now. Look at that, follow that, and spread that. That's what I would say. That's my
I
my
love that,
soapbox.
man. I think it's so interesting. Like, it's that positivity or that those moves being made scale across every sort of, from a singular person doing something good for someone else to, Apple, or even, not to brag, but you produce more face masks than Apple itself, which I think needs to be said. But scaling all the way to like an NBA, where they were probably the first ones on it. Hey, season's canceled, right? These are private industries, private firms, businesses that have nothing to do with government, that said, hey, we have a ton of influence. We're going to utilize this for safety, for for positivity, all these different things. Like, they were doing this for a reason, and they did it because they could. And now that the proof is in the pudding, where do we go from there? I'm just so interested to see that, because you've experienced it firsthand. You're seeing companies take probably what their manufacturing rates were and drop them down so that you guys could work together and make this shit happen and provide a need. That kind of brotherhood, sisterhood that's going on within this country right now is, I think, what you were touching on earlier, is why your rates are going to drop below China. Because as cheap as they are, they don't have the personal connection that we all have with each other. And I don't think we recognized that before.
American pride, baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But do you think, honestly, I know that's kind of a lot of jargon from a guy who doesn't know a lot about manufacturing, but do you honestly think that we after coronavirus, do you think more people, our market, will actually be competitive with a China or with some of those outsourced places that people have always gone to because it's just cheaper?
It'll be competitive in a different way. I don't
Okay.
think everything is going to be price competitive, nor do I think it can get there, and nor do I think that we understand that it needs to be there anymore. I think people are going to look at things in a lot, like we've talked about, look at things in a lot different way. They're looking at apparel in a different way. They're looking at, whoa, it's actually makes sense now for people, right? Before, buying apparel from Great Lakes or whatever, American-made places, it made a little bit of sense, right? It's like, oh, my buddy's got a business. Oh,
It wasn't
okay.
their price point.
Yeah, it was like, oh, okay, my buddy's got a business, or this American apparel company, it's making in America. Okay, cool. Like, their stuff's kind of cool. Like, whatever. Yeah, I might buy it. Now it's like, holy fuck, Sally has a job there, and she lost her job because they don't have enough sales. Wait, so if I buy that thing from them, that means they're gonna. It's like making sense, and I'm over dramatizing it, right?
Mhm.
It's like, but that's what's happening. Like, people are actually understanding that now. They're understanding that with restaurants. They're understanding that with
Yeah.
clothing. They're understanding that with the lip balm that they buy, right?
Kind lips, baby.
It's making sense to people, and we're all coming together saying, how can we help each other? And that is another positive consumer habit that I think will change after this.
Mhm.
And you know what it kind of comes down to is, as you listed off those different things, is it personalized it, and that's what like a brand is. Like I have Kind Lips right here because I love Josh Newman.
Yeah.
Josh Newman's doing something cool out there. Not
Yeah.
to mention, Josh Newman put us in a group chat within 30 minutes after we recorded with him last year and said, hey, Ben VW has just dropped a book. He needs to be on your podcast.
Yeah.
That's how we met you.
Yeah.
So like that's just like a cool small example, but like
Yeah.
that's why we go to Red Cow, because Red Cow's local Minnesota. That's why we
Yep.
buy Bauhaus beer, because we know the guys there. It's like these products, these things that we consume without even thinking twice have so much more meaning when you put an actual human or an actual person behind it.
Yep.
And why has this whole like get your personal brand your stuff? It's because people are sick of the face of just like some big thing that you just purchased. They want to know where they're buying it from. They want to know who's behind it. They want to know the why. And I mean, with Woodchuck and where you're going with health, like you don't have to question that at all, right?
Yep.
Same reason why, like Andrew and I mean, we don't necessarily just Zoom call in anybody from the entire world. Like we love this setting. The fact that you can come over on a busy day on a Tuesday and come into our third floor of our house and record an awesome conversation.
The Washington Instagram loft.
Amen to that.
We used to call it the Washington Capitol. And this room was
it's kind of like a den.
It's
Yeah.
a den.
Yeah.
And then we were also thinking this room specifically before we turned into the studio was the war room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Can you guys cut a window in this side?
So that is a
This
window.
is a window. We
no
covered.
shit.
and we
Yeah.
covered it up because there's a tree.
It's too.
Well, it's
kinda
just like how do you balance the lighting? With
Yeah,
all
lighting
that?
would be really tough.
Right.
Lighting would be really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless we film.
I like it. I mean, I like it. It is. I like the
It's
feel.
deceiving because the high ceilings, you don't realize you're in an attic.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
We're also coming up on our lease renewal, and I have just been stressing out about that because we did not tell our landlord we did any of this.
Are you gonna? Oh, wow. Does he listen to your podcast?
I don't even think he
I
knows
don't think
we
they
have
know
one.
we have one. We're gonna take the sign down when the inspector comes. I like literally. I think this is one of those like great. I don't know. It's probably not a great start story, but like the idea that just like, oh yeah, back in the day when we started this podcast, we like built out a whole studio in our house.
I don't think you have to. I mean, I don't think you have to. I think you pitch it to him as a positive. Hey, bro, I just like did some finished square footage up here for you, so I think you need to take our 2 months of rent off at the end. That's what I would go to him with.
Oh, just I would just
Go
say
right
we
after him.
we
Yeah.
yeah.
I wouldn't even try and make a dime off it. I would just be like, look, like we think this is our favorite room in the house, and we wanted to make it look a little better. You know, give them the antidote of the 1940s newspapers back here, which
Yeah.
we'll show you after. It's kind of the coolest part of our whole house, but just pitch them on the fact that it's just like we really appreciated this, and we didn't want to see dumb yellow spray foam in here, so we covered it with Menard wooden panels.
I
Shame
think-
on us for not doing woodchuck panels.
I think you could pitch it. I think you could
Yeah.
sell it to him.
Yeah.
for sure.
And we've never actually. You've met our landlord once.
Yeah, once or twice because he came over for the inspection and then he had like a follow up. Yeah, and I was home for it.
That was it.
That
So
was
they,
it.
I think they do an inspection a year or something like that. I don't really know.
Yeah, he said once this passes, he'll come through and
Where are you guys moving after this?
we signed the lease one more year. So,
Okay. You still got it a while.
So we got it. We got
Okay.
it for another year. We
Okay.
renovated this.
Barring any sort of, I mean, we broke the lease, right? We didn't tell our landlord that we were making renovations, and
Yeah.
we just flat out did. So there's a chance that they can be like, fuck you guys for making this awesome ass place. You guys got to go, right? There's a chance.
That's unlikely.
There's highly
Unlikely.
unlikely. We could be saved by
Still
Corona.
probable. Highly
probable.
unlikely. Still probable.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So it's
we
in-
are living here right now, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think? If we had to leave, where should we go? I guess just future talking, just in case.
There's a lot of places to go. You could pitch a tent under a bridge anywhere in Minneapolis.
Good point.
Really good point about the tent.
That's one of many valid options.
Mhm.
There's a lot of vacant buildings right now. There's a lot of apartment buildings being built that you can. I think there's like some real 6 months. I think if you're living in a place for 6 months or something and they don't find you, it's yours. There's a lot of really interesting rules out there.
I was
I think you
thinking
got
like
a lot
a tiny
of options.
home.
I think you got a lot of options.
Right.
I
Yeah.
defaulted to like tiny home just up north somewhere.
Yeah, my mind went straight to find Chris Lindahl and just have him show us the way.
Right.
Didn't you guys have him on?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He'll get you a space.
He'll get us a space.
I
Right?
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guaranteed offer. Guaranteed average.
Guaranteed attic.
Guaranteed attic.
Guaranteed attic.
Yep.
We need to get that freaking billboard going. By the way, I'm actually kind of
I
glad
saw that. I
Yeah.
saw that.
I'm
yeah.
super glad that we didn't actually get to the final processing because we're working on getting an actual billboard with Chris Lindahl holding us, and that's just gonna be monumental. But it doesn't do shit when everyone's inside, right? So kind of glad. I bet.
Good point.
It
I
just
didn't even think of that. Yeah.
think about it. It needs to launch. It needs to launch when everybody can go outside again.
Right.
Right. That's gonna be and then we're gonna just push. Right. If they're gonna say, hey, you guys are free to run around and kiss each other tomorrow. Like, we got to have Bocella 4 weeks from there, and we're just going to run and gun.
Yep.
And then we're going to have the billboard on with Chris Lindahl. And then have you heard of...
You guys are gonna explode.
No,
We're
just...
Explosion.
We have so much dynamite in
Yeah.
this attic
Yeah.
right now.
I
It's
love it.
insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts. But I just think, like, the thing that I love the most about this time is, first, the problem solving, what we've talked about all the time. But like the innovation and how it's lasting innovation. You're not just like making a small change here just so you can make it through the times. Like, no, this is a time where you can be innovative and be fucking risky with your innovation, because if you're smart about where you're providing the need and what you're doing, that can teach you so much more about where you can go in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I just love these times right now. I hate to say it. People are gonna hate me for that.
Right, and where we get to come in and like where the back pocket gets to involve itself is the storytelling aspects, and like from the benefit of the back pocket, we get to live in the moment as much as possible because we're talking firsthand with people about how they're feeling in this situation. We don't have to sit in our own head or talk to our parents or talk to a friend. Like, we get to do that, but we also get to bring in other people and hear from someone doing an amazing thing such as yourself. And we get to hear from someone who's in the fitness industry, who's hiding behind the virtual world right now. Not hiding, but behind the virtual industry right now. So we're able to capture the story and then have it archived and ready to distribute. So it's really cool from the back pocket, whether this is making money or not. Like, I love that I have the opportunity to hear your story. One time a year ago, and you challenge us to go up to Cushing, Minnesota and do an outdoor challenge on my birthday. Like, the coolest
was
thing.
awesome.
We talk about that all the time, us two
awesome.
and Jack Burke. Like, that is the coolest thing. To fast forward a year later, and we're sitting here during a pandemic, how you're making a world change, and we're still able to capture that same story. It's like the coolest thing. And again, regardless if it makes money or not, I have this, and I'll look forward to it listening 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So thank you so much, Ben, for like genuinely being excited and coming on while you're dealing with all of this. Like, when you responded right away, being like, "Fuck yeah, I'd love to come on the back pocket." Like, that energizes me.
Dude, keep sharing, you guys. You guys are doing a great job. I mean, keep sharing people's stories and keep sharing the positivity too. I mean, the thing that changes people's attitudes, mindsets, moods from where they're at is listening and viewing content that's positive, right? All there is negative content right now, except for, frankly, my content and your content and probably 5 other people's content.
Mm-hmm.
Put positive shit out there. You guys are doing that. That's fantastic. Keep doing that. You guys will help turn people's spirits, moods, etc., in a positive direction, which is going to help turn everybody's moods positives. It's awesome.
Amen to that, man.
Oh yeah. So I'll say it. Talking a lot of positive.
Bullish positive.
Bullish positivity.
Yes, sir.
Here's something that we didn't do too well in the last year. You challenged us to get Rob Swan on.
Robbie Swan. Did you get him on?
We did not. No.
Fucking Robbie.
Is there another guy who is like big into climate change too? Will Steger.
Will Steger. Did you get Willie on?
So we were close to getting Will on.
He's like in the north right now by himself for like 8 months or something.
Okay.
Does not
So-
shock me at all. He was here for a brief stint, and we tried to go to his
We were
event.
so close.
Yeah, and we
We were
cross
so
paths with
close.
him.
It just
Yeah.
didn't work out.
Mhm.
He wasn't able to. It wasn't able to happen.
You guys
So
got to get that guy on.
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
The funnels are there. Swan not as much because it was just hard reaching
Yeah,
out to him.
I think he's
honestly,
in-
Clara kind of dropped the ball on that. She was like, "I'm gonna."
I think you can blame it on Clara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll blame Rob Swan on Clara, but
She deserves the blame.
yeah, she absolutely deserves.
She
the blame.
iced us on the show over the summer. She came on and she iced us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't get you swab Swan and she iced you?
Yeah.
That's
It's
Total
double
Claire,
negative.
though.
And she also pranked us on our own fucking podcast too. When we did the blind date podcast, we like reached out to a bunch of people saying like, "Hey, set us up with a blind date to record a podcast with." And of course, Claire responds like, "Oh, I got one for you." And then, sure as shit, she just sets me up with twins, and the twins just do a switcheroo like halfway through the podcast, and I have no idea. And yeah,
It was
And then
legendary.
they iced us again.
And then
So.
the ice is again. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a full experience.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I would actually, we're gonna get Swanee on and we're gonna get Steger on for sure.
I'll reach out to Steger actually after this. I haven't talked to him in a little while.
Okay.
But yeah,
That'd be
if he's back-
huge.
if he's back from his expedition,
Yeah,
Nope.
I just need to hear him talk for hours on all, because that's one of my bigger things I want to talk about is just like climate change and what we've been doing, and I think he's at the forefront of that, obviously.
yeah.
But is there anyone right now, Corona era related, that we should be capturing as a podcast?
Dude, I think the frontline doctors.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they're all extremely busy, but I mean, and I could reach out. I don't have any names off the top of my head, but dude, I think you got to get some frontline doctors in here
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think you're right.
that are seeing the positives out of this too, hopefully.
Right.
Which I can get you some. Yeah,
Okay.
frontline doctors.
No,
I would
that-
say
Didn't even think about that, to be honest. I didn't even think that was a possibility,
Right.
but
totally possible.
needs to happen.
Get him a hazmat suit. Give him a ticket to Bochella.
Hazmat, right?
They'll
it always starts with the hazmat suit.
They'll
Hazmat
come.
suit and a BOGO. How about we just go BOGO?
Yeah,
We can't give him a free ticket. We'll give him BOGO.
Yeah.
BOGO and a free hazmat
Free?
suit.
No. But Bogo, we can do.
BOGO, we can
And
do.
we'll hook him up
that-
with a face shield.
Yeah. With their name on it.
Yeah.
Oh, frick yeah. Should we how does it work with recurring guests now? We don't have enough recurring guests on to know how we operate a recurring guest podcast, like with our normal questions.
New
Yeah, we-
domain.
So we should talk
New
it through.
domain.
Do we ask the average quality? Do you have any average qualities right now that we should talk about?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm. And then
Okay.
the following one would be Backpocket, but I think
Backpocket,
we
but
covered
we-
that with overcoming
Everything.
this circumstance.
Right. So I don't know if we ask those questions now for
I
recurring
think you got to
guests.
come up with new ones.
Yeah.
Just
For
on the
this-
spot. I think on the spot, you both got to come up with a new question.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Right. Fuck. Yep.
Do you have any questions?
Is that a question?
I will come up with a better one, but yeah, that is a question.
I think what's in 2 sentences, what's the most positive thing that's happened to you in the past week? 2 sentences or less.
I'll start. I made Andrew and I have been doing these. This is just context, doesn't have to do the sentence, but we've been working with Marnitas.
Just totally
Come on,
disregarded.
It's,
Yeah.
fucking A. It's hard to explain
Damn it,
without.
Becky.
Okay, I'll do it in 2
Yeah,
sentences.
we'll see if you can.
Backpocket had a Zoom chat of 30 people. I was able to experience community, laughter, and absolute fun with 30 people that most of I've never met before through the podcast.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Right.
Very cool.
There we go. I did it. And then I'll give the context while Andrew's filling up his drink. So have you ever heard of Marnita's Table? Okay, she's a lady who runs a nonprofit that basically brings communities from Minnesota and the Midwest together through conversation and food and all this stuff. And
Okay.
it's all free. You can show up whenever.
Okay.
But we found her recently and started working with her, and she wanted to do all these Zoom chat stuff because she, her biggest pain point was events. And now she doesn't, or that was her biggest sell, and now she doesn't have any of that. So now she's doing these community casts online. She's
Yeah.
like, I'd love for you guys to host a community cast through Marnita's Table every single week. And so Andrew and I have the opportunity now every Thursday for the last month we've built out like a legitimate community cast where people now know to just like join a call with the Backpocket and just hang out, talk about
That's cool.
random shit, and it is so fun. Like, it is just an absolute blast. So for anybody listening, just every Thursday we'll be there. And I think it's actually changing every Tuesday, but nonetheless, my question for you
Or
Have
hold-
you?
Here, let me.
Oh, you have
let
one.
me
You
answer.
have one.
I'm gonna answer Ben's question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, I almost pivoted
If you want
fast.
to hook me up with that, yeah.
Ginger
No,
ale.
there you go. Yeah.
One of the most like influential things that's happened in the since the pandemic has started. Working from home with my roommates has been such a blessing in disguise. Like, I have an opportunity to operate normally positively because I have a support group readily available at all times. I'm not by myself. I never have been. And like I'm blessed to have an opportunity to be with like 4 great friends that are just, when you think that you're in the real shitter, you have, like, if your family's going through something hard or you know someone who's going through something hard, you have someone to talk to. So I am very blessed to have like 4 people right next to me at all times helping me go through this. And we can help each other. I think that's the coolest thing. Like, we take for granted more times than not of being like, I know we're all 24 and we're all knuckleheads and we're all just getting through life being wildly average guys. But at the same time, like, all of us are gung-ho, positive people that are like helping each other. It's like so cool that I have that around me at all times. I know that was way more than fucking 4 sentences.
No, but
There was a couple
No,
semicolons.
the first 2 sentences that you said worked though.
Yeah.
You backed it all up with the
Yeah.
other.
Right. And I know other people in my age range that are by themselves or they're back with their parents because they did not necessarily have the courage of themselves to maintain their lifestyle. And it's a bummer for me to see that. It's like, hey guys, like, this is an opportunity that you'll look back in 10 years from now that you're not directly affected by it. So
Yep.
take advantage of it. Don't resort back to the most comfortable situation you possibly can.
Yep.
I know you know you're not going to get sick. And if you do, you have a great chance of overcoming it. So take advantage of what you can do with your mindset every single day versus resorting back to the most comfortable situation.
Yep.
And it's hard to like tell your best friends that you see happening, but you can't. So like,
So you got to clip it out off the podcast and then send it to him. It's a real it's a bullish effort on our end.
yeah.
Okay, so I got a question for you now,
All right.
Ben. Do you have 2 sentences?
I think my 2 sentences are connecting with family again and also making time for like extended family again. I've FaceTime my family more times in the past 3 weeks than I have in the past probably 3 years.
Agreed. Same
It's
here.
been incredible.
Yeah, from like generation wise, like grandparents,
Yeah.
aunts, uncles, cousins.
Yeah.
Getting everyone involved.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That kicks ass. What's been the most uncomfortable moment during the coronavirus? For the record, you can't hear the slurps on the audio. I
You
hope.
cannot.
No, you can. I heard it here. You always hear it in the headphones, but you never know.
Right. You have a little something in your left eye. It's like fuzz or something.
Man, that's a good question.
Do you ever study Brene Brown?
Yeah.
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
Maybe attack it in that sense. Where you've had to, we feel uncomfortable, but we exercise vulnerability. So maybe instead of saying when were you most uncomfortable, when have you exercised the most vulnerability? Or wait, did I say that wrong? You feel uncomfortability, but we exercise vulnerability. When is a time where you've exercised a lot of vulnerability?
I think trust in a lot of these manufacturing relationships that we've developed has come down to vulnerability. And a lot of times, you're not trying to show your cards fully. You're trying to make a deal at the same time. Kind of show your position. And I think everyone, and again, this is just in the American experience, the American spirit has just literally worked together, and that's like pretty vulnerable. I mean, you're showing your cards, you're showing your numbers, you're showing the data to companies that typically you'd be competing with. And that's like pretty fucking different, right? Like typically this manufacturer down the road I'm competing with, and trying to beat out of a contract to XYZ. And now I'm showing him the cost on the material that I'm like giving him the source to like go make face shields by himself to make sure they get out. And that's been really interesting and pretty vulnerable, but pretty awesome at the same time.
Mm.
Well, yeah, think about how like black and white that it was from previous, and now it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like it doesn't matter right now.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter. Yeah.
That's the crazy part, because you're providing a need, right? Like you just throw all the. It's not that you throw out the competition, but you throw out that aspect of the competition because there's a greater thing that we're all fighting. It's like the aliens came to town and we all gotta
100%. It's bringing everyone together.
Yeah.
It is bringing everyone together.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so interesting. And then who's to say you can't, when the aliens leave, who's to say you can't work with that person? Or maybe even look at that person a little differently.
Yeah.
You're still a little closer together than you were before.
Yeah. Totally.
Hell yeah.
Amen to that. Dude.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God bless.
My question is a little less dramatic. It's more
They don't call me Decky Drama for no reason.
decky drama.
Follow me
bro.
on Instagram. I'm just kidding.
Knucklehead. The three of us were like active guys. I'm curious from your standpoint, how have you stayed active, or like how have you, like I need to get like the testosterone going. I need to get the adrenaline flowing. That's why we do Embrace North. That's why we work out at base camp, Alter, you name it. That stuff might come to a kind of a halt for a long time coming.
Yeah.
How have you been able to maintain something like that, or where do you seek to find that adrenaline, that a testosterone kick?
Personally, for me now, it's been late at night and going for a run. So I'll run like from my place down through Loring Park, and then up along the trail like to Cedar Lake or whatever and back. And I usually just walk back and like look at the beautiful skyline on the way back and just kind of reflect about the day, because that's like the only thing I really can do. But that's how I've been doing it. And that was a part of the routine thing, recognizing that like I had cut out working out of my routine and I needed to put that back in. But that's what I've been doing.
Running,
basically.
yeah. Dude, running is so hard. I
hate running.
hate running.
I literally hate running with a passion.
It is a dreadful activity. I
It
will
really
push weight
is.
around. I'll move it. I'll put it over
Yep.
my head.
Yep.
I'll squat it. I'll bench press it. But you get me moving from over a mile and a half,
Terrible.
and it's my knees, my ankles, my mindset just deteriorates.
Feels good after. I
Right.
do like it after.
Mhm.
I do really like it after, but it is awful every second of the journey.
Yes, sir.
That same day that I decided to run to the lake and jump in and then not jump in, that was like the first time I had ran in, God, probably 2 or 3 months. Winter months I hadn't run
Yeah.
at all. Picked it up and just ran like, I think it was like 7 miles, and I couldn't walk. I could barely walk. Like I didn't stretch or anything after. Very dumb way to go about it.
What'd you have, plantar fasciitis?
Yeah, I was
Something
diagnosed
like
with
that.
something pretty extreme.
Yeah, that was a
Self-
Matty C diagnosis.
I'll say it's self-diagnosis, but we ripped through it. I'm just fascinated by it. I was thinking about today. I was like, fuck it, dude. I think I might just pick it up and run a half marathon, and once it's 60 degrees outside.
Dude, you guys listen to Goggins, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
that's my next audiobook right now.
There you go. Dude, his audiobook is the like reason I did my audiobook the way I did because of his audiobook. You guys are going to love his audiobook if you haven't listened to audiobook yet.
I haven't yet. That's what I
So he has
actually just downloaded it.
He has a guy read it, and then so he had Scribe do his audiobook and his book, same place that helped me publish mine. And he was
Wait, can you explain that? So you had someone write the book and
so it's
narrate it?
not actually writing, it's not ghost writing, it's what they call scribe. It's scribing. So basically it's kind of like a person that's really fucking good at writing books, and you're bouncing ideas off of them, and they're helping you kind of through the journey. Like, hey, this week you got to write another chapter, and like these are the things you should think about, and like next week you got to fucking publish a thing, so like you got to dial it in, so like they help you through the journey, and then they're like, hey, we're at the end, so now you have to publish your audiobook, and now printing's going to take 3 months, and like like in our case we did our own printing because we had those contacts, but they basically help you through the process. So Goggins' book is one of kind of their most prolific books that they've done. But yeah, it's Scribe. Check it out.
Dope.
Oh, Scribe the company. I remember.
Yes.
I actually do remember Claire talking about that.
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm stoked for Goggins' book because he narrates it himself, right?
Yeah. So he has a guy read it, and then he comes in, and this dude, it's epic. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay. All right. How is it like writing and narrating? Did you narrate your book too?
I did with my buddy. Yep.
That's
so
right.
I had yep.
How was that?
It was awesome. That was the most fun thing of the entire book.
Because you're just
Hands
reliving the last
Yeah.
6-7 years.
It'd be like you guys talking about the last 5 years of your life, reading it page for page, and then you like have these little segues where like you just go off for a half hour on like crazy shit that happened that's like on top of the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's awesome. It's really cool.
Would you suggest? I mean, how old are you now?
30.
30.
Yeah, dirty
Not-
30.
Not a day over 28.
Yeah,
Come on.
dirty 30.
Do you?
So young.
Yes. So young. But do you recommend like going through that sort of practice regardless of how many book sales that you make? Because like I'm not saying Backpocket should write a book, but I do like the idea of like a documentary or just some sort of like share, like that long form sharing of a story. Like, do you think that has had a lot of impact for yourself?
I think it was probably one of the coolest personal kind of reflection things that I've done in my entire life. I mean, like I was talking about journaling. I do a lot of journaling. I wrote in my book about journaling and kind of the personal benefits that has had in my life. But this is like a huge journal. Like, it's an incredible experience. Absolutely incredible experience. I'd hands down recommend anyone to do it. Scribe would tell you this too. Most professional book writers would tell you this too. Don't write a book to think you're going to like make a shit ton of money on book sales, because it's like 99.9999% of book sales. You never sell more than 1,000 books. People that publish books. It's
Whoa.
absolutely
Did
ridiculous.
not know that.
It's absolutely ridiculous. The large majority of book authors make more money speaking in a year than they do over their book sales in like whatever 20 years.
Mm.
It's
Holy
absolutely insane. Yeah.
Because I know that's been that was like a lot of your shtick, right? Like
Yeah.
going and speaking and stuff.
Prior to Corona, yes, I had just gotten back actually from a gig out in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I was speaking at a place, franchises, and speaking on my book and speaking how they could kind of utilize their ideas. But yeah, anyway, totally recommend it. Highly recommended to write a book and go through the process for sure.
Dope, dude. So the public speaking aspect has been a year in the making, because I remember you talking about that on our show in March of last year, and you've really
Yeah.
moved the needle in that area.
Yeah.
As someone like aspiring to be a public speaker, to stand in front of an auditorium of 2,000, 20,000 people, what has it been like trying to like calculate a story, a personal example to an interpersonal skill? Like, how have you like workshopped your art of storytelling?
Well, currently it's completely dead, right?
Right.
It's
Right now
completely
it's
died
stagnant.
off.
It's complete.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Everyone's
Hey,
canceled
hey,
their
hey,
stuff.
you're building your story.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So
yeah, you're gonna come back with even more ammo.
Yeah,
I mean, this is really cool
Th-
for you.
Well,
This
think
is-
about the story you just told in the first 30, 40 minutes of this podcast.
Yeah.
it's another book. It's another story about pivoting. But yeah, I mean, it's I absolutely love it. I mean, I think that's kind of where I was meant to be. That's my kind of big calling, is helping other people do stuff like this. I love it. I love tweaking it. I learned so much in the first couple months of doing it. I had like epic failures at places speaking, and I had awesome successes. It's been really cool.
Dope.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a challenge I'm excited for. I mean, he's been inspiring in itself because he does stand-up comedy.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
before,
dude,
before COVID, he was going to open mics 3-4 times a week to do a show probably once a month. So it was like very inspiring to see him take action on it. So like I'm ready to follow suit in a different light of day, not the comedy route, but more of like motivational speaking. So
Yeah.
But I think we have some with the live shows.
right,
Like,
between the two of us, we have something.
between the two of us, we have a stand-up set. We have a tight 20.
Yes,
A stand-up motivational set.
right.
Isn't that kind of a weird, like, that's a niche, though? Like, I've never...
Dude, any company would hire you in a second. It's funny and it's motivational. Fuck yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, you could make $50K, $100K a gig easily.
we actually would crush a corporate setting. I didn't even think about that. Comics hate doing comedy or like comedy in front of corporate shows because it's too dark or they piss someone off or. But we could
that's a huge
easily
niche.
do that.
That's a huge niche.
I didn't even. Okay. All right.
My one of my speaking mentors said this is like probably one of the most impactful things he said. Ross Bernstein, by the way, who I don't know. Did you guys come there like little high performance event or whatever?
Yeah,
he's the guy that spoke at that.
The book release.
No, that was different.
Okay.
Oh, we came to the book release.
Okay. So this guy's written like over 50 books or whatever. He's a Minnesota guy, super cool guy.
What's his name? Ross Bernstein.
Ross Bernstein.
Okay,
yeah, check him out. And he said, how do you help someone selling insurance sell more insurance? And if you can pitch that to their executive leadership team and how your stand-up gig could help Marty in sales sell more insurance, they will hire you. $20K, $30K, $50K, $100K per gig. So if you can figure out that answer and you can figure out how to pitch whatever gig you have and how you can help Marty from wherever the hell sell more insurance, and I'm just using that as an example, right?
Right.
They'll hire you.
We just need to include ourselves in part of the metric for sales.
Sure.
Right. I mean, if they incorporate Backpocket experience X, this is actually a multiplier for product sale Y. You know,
like what information are you going to give Marty that makes him sell more shit?
That's
okay.
And I know
are
we
you
have
going to give him motivation? Are you going to give him humility? What are you going to give Marty at the end of the day to help him sell more shit?
Will it be
like,
tactics?
Yeah. Like I give him my book and I say, you need to try your ideas. You need to try one thing every day. You know, the SMART steps. I walk through the whole thing of like, what's the one thing you're going to do today to get one step closer to your personal goals? And I talk a lot about like personal goals and how you get closer to your personal goals. And that traction of your personal goals will build your confidence and then lead to being a better XYZ, right? And making more money. So if you guys can formulate, how do you help Marty make more sales? You guys will have a fucking epic crushing selling set and you guys will go international, doing just the most epic, hilarious comedy corporate gigs ever.
Oh man,
yeah, that sounds like a dream.
Yeah, that sounds like a rip roaring time. Oh man,
God, see, this is the kind of conversations we need to have because like Andrew and I don't really know much other than like throwing parties and knowing how to produce a podcast at this point. So it's like,
come on, we know a couple other things,
and
maybe that's about it.
And like,
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. This is like people look at us like people who have seen us, who have grown up with us through college years at least, and I don't know. They always are like, dude, you guys are like the master networkers. I'm like, not really. we built a platform that allowed us to network.
Dude, absolutely. I think that's totally true.
Right? Like we got coffee with you last year. Now we're getting coffee with you now. You know, like that's like the generic pitch of what most people would ask for, but we just built it into a content factory instead of getting beers and retaining some of the information.
Yeah.
And then what Andrew was talking about off air, like, well, we did a lot of those last year of just having the coffee. Yeah. But like, there's more to it, right? There's a relationship aspect to it. So anytime someone comes in the studio, we better be doing something with them outside of the studio. We better be trying to make shit happen outside of it, trying to come together, see how we can help each other work and grow from there. Right?
Yeah.
Like Bocella. But again, that's one of the things, like my biggest realization and what I always tell people about podcasting, it's like, don't start a podcast because of the content or how many people we can reach, just like selling writing a book. No, the podcast, the biggest asset of the podcast is the opportunities you get because of the relationships you build. And because you can have an undistracted conversation for, Marcus, how long have we been going for?
I started here probably about almost a month ago now.
No, I'm talking like
just today. Though.
Just this
today?
podcast.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant like me personally.
No, I respect.
No, Marcus has also been on for a while.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 1:40.
Yeah.
Right
We can have an hour and 40
Yeah.
conversation undistracted for an hour over a couple drinks. Like that to me is the value, and not a lot of other people get that unless they're listening at this point right now. If you are,
Congratulations.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Congratulations.
DM us. Let us know.
847-636-2111.
Right. You can give your phone number out at this point. 'Cause, well, actually, I don't know if we want to do that, but
Well, it's the Gary V model.
it's a Gary V model, but it's just our personal.
Yeah, swipe up.
Yeah, right.
So challenge for you guys. we'll probably talk in the next couple months, 2 or 3 months from now. You got another month to formulate what the pitch looks like, right, to this corporate setting. I'm going to challenge you both. 2 things. 1, to have Bocella on. And 2, to have your pitch and pitched at least 2 companies on having you guys come speak motivationally. Motivational comedy. And have your set dialed.
I
3
love
months.
that challenge.
3 months.
Fuck yeah.
Yes, very, very doable action items.
Set the
I'm
calendar.
gonna put it on my
It's
calendar
April
right now.
14th, so by the week after 4th of July.
Right. And you know what the dopest thing about that whole challenge is right now the virtual world is like thriving, and how accessible it is for us to jump into the corporate America setting and do a set and do an experience. Like, we've been practicing that. We've been honing in our craft of how to workshop people that we can't even physically touch. And at the same time, we're trying to figure out how to host live shows, and we've hosted live shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you led into this whole little thing about us being average and shit, and only being know how to throw a podcast and parties. But we are on the forefront of everything. Is whether like it's actually like making a difference or like we're actually just learning the process. That's the coolest thing.
Learning the difference.
We're learning about it all, and I have the opportunity. Right, we're here at an hour 40 into this podcast. Does not matter how many people have made it to this point in the podcast. Declan and I have had the opportunity to talk to you for an hour 40, someone who is making a worldly difference. And we're sitting here having a couple drinks, shooting the shit, kind of riffing off of something that we kind of have, and we just banter for a little bit. And like, we get to learn about each other, and we get to learn about how we're going to get better. Then we bring up the public speaking. Bam. Now you have just challenged us to be better in 3 months. It's in the calendar.
It's in the calendar.
Fuck yeah.
And that alone is more rewarding than anything like
Any download, engagement that we'll ever receive.
So thank you, Ben.
Dude, thank you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it up. Seriously, keep spreading the positivity.
Amen.
You guys have an opportunity in the next the rest of your lives, frankly. But then this next month to like bring other people on, spread the positivity, and keep broadcasting out there. So keep doing it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir. We'll end it with this final question.
Marcus had something.
Yeah,
Oh,
something that I've noticed throughout the entire podcast, we've been talking a lot about networking and like building relationships with different businesses, manufacturers, with people. And what I think we realize, or what we remember through all of those relationships, is like their story, right? And we get to hear like they always did something that kind of affected us personally, and they kind of leave behind a little bit of a legacy with us. What do you, Ben, want your legacy to be for your business after all this is done? Because once this is over, we're seeing a lot of positivity being built. You're helping out like by building a bunch of masks, giving them. I think that people are going to remember this as a very positive event. But what do you personally want people to remember from all this?
Are you talking like COVID specifically, or like legacy?
Legacy.
Are you trying to go deep right on the last question? I need another drink for this.
I started going big, but then I brought it back down to COVID. But I guess I could go either way. So let's start with COVID, and we can build up from there.
I mean, COVID, like, frankly, we want to help save people's lives, literally, and that's what we're doing. We're getting people these face shields that are help saving their lives. We want to do as many fucking face shields as we possibly humanly, physically are possible, and with machines, obviously, over the next span of when people need them.
For sure.
That's our goal.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So after all this kind of piles up, like this is going to be over, people are going to remember all that positivity. I guess we could transition it into like what that legacy would be like long term.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just pouring another drink here real quick. Just
Can I jump in
super
real quick?
deep.
Yeah.
I want to.
Very deep.
I think that the legacy that you're currently living from my perspective is you're showing that like the American spirit and the American difference that we can make is possible. Like that is a tangible thing that we can do. We don't have to outsource. We don't have to outsource our labor to make the impact. Ben and Woodchuck are the people that have proven now that it's possible to make a difference within your own backyard now.
Amen to that. And when you think you're not necessarily making a world-changing impact. You're making wooden engraved custom designs for interior design. You're making the journals, the event stuff for, you name it, corporate America. You're making that type of wooden engraved stuff. But you're kind of looking back like, what actually am I doing? But you're building a blueprint of working in America and providing your economy like through and through forth. To when the chaos presents itself, you have now left the legacy already, so that you can actually take action before anyone else can. Which is the dopest thing. Like, we look at legacy as like as a abbreviation or an acronym.
Is it alliteration?
Alliteration, acronym.
Acronym.
Yeah. Let each generation's accomplishments continue yours. Legacy. Let each generation's accomplishments continue yours. Yeah. And from you starting Woodchuck to making it into the medical devices to you just being yourself. Like, Marcus asked that question and I see your legacy already. Like, that's the coolest thing. You already shared your whole legacy throughout this story and how you're building it and how you've utilized the people before you and how you're leaving a blueprint for people after you. That is like the coolest thing that we have the opportunity to do. So kudos to you for trying your ass off to be a part of that system.
And letting us tell you what your legacy is. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
What
I
is your
appreciate
legacy,
that.
Matt?
I think you're dead on with that. I mean, you know, I feel so fortunate and so blessed to be living the life that I'm living. You know, somehow randomly I fell into like being an entrepreneur. I wanted to like go design buildings, and like I started a company that's planted millions of trees. You know, I just feel super fortunate and very blessed to be doing that. And then through that, I got to write a book and like all this stuff that like, I just feel so blessed and so fortunate. And my biggest thing is like, I want other people to experience, like if I die tomorrow, I'm totally fine with that. I'm cool. Like I'm good. I want other people to experience the fullness of what they can accomplish, and the happiness and the benefit and the positivity that can come out of them accomplishing the shit that they never thought in a million years would have been possible. And like, so like my shit's always positive, challenging. I mean, literally, like that's just who I am. Like, I want to challenge you guys. I want to see you motherfuckers up on the stage at a big corporate event, Target event, 3 years from now. You guys both got paid $100,000 each to speak and bring the best comedy show in the United States and the fucking world that improves their sales, like, to the stage. Like, so that's the shit. And like, you're like, dude, that's a dream. It's totally possible. Mm-hmm. All this shit's totally possible. And I want to like see other people's dreams. That's why I wrote the fucking book. I mean, it's literally the world needs your ideas, how to start something that's going to change the world. That's literally what I wanted to do. Like, I want to see other people be successful and accomplish and feel that sense of like gratefulness themselves. That's what I hope my legacy is.
That's it, dude.
Bam.
God bless America.
Good shit, man.
I love that.
Yes, sir.
I kind of imagine it's like if it's this mug, and like your life experiences and everything is, you're pouring it all in, and you said full, right? But you're overflowing, but as your eyes are looking around to find all the other mugs that you can put underneath. Yeah. So that the overflow of the shit that you have pours onto other people.
Absolutely.
Because, like you said, if this mug is gone tomorrow, well, this mug was fucking full.
Yeah, dude. We
Who
had
cares?
A good drink, right? Yeah.
We had a great drink. It was full. It couldn't have been any more. The only way it gets better is if it fills other mugs.
Yeah.
And if you need more mugs, go to Metro Mugs and use promo code Backpocket
for 20% off. Best ad we've ever done. And it's not even close.
If anyone's listening this long, they deserve a free fucking mug. Free mug. I mean, really.
If DM me and
DM us if you're listening right now.
Overflow mug.
Yeah, I don't know. Just DM us and be like, hey, that was a shit ass ad you put at the 2 hour mark. Okay. No, absolutely. Yeah, we'll give you a free mug if you're listening right now. DM us.
Oh, that's amazing.
At the Backpocket Podcast. But I mean, seriously, like we've all said it a million times. It's like the give back, man. I think that you win because you help others win. And whether it's a mug reference or not, I think we accomplished that, dude.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
Final question?
Yes, sir.
Final question. What did you learn today from the moment that you woke up to when we're having this conversation?
And what time did you wake up?
I woke up at 6:25 today. what did I learn? What was the question again?
What did you learn today? Simple question. It's kind of a reflection from the last 24 hours. And we can walk through your day a little bit. We've had this podcast. You definitely...
What'd you do this? We don't have to tell them we're walking through the day. You just ask, so what'd you do after you woke up?
So this is a super funny question. So there's this comedian. He's like a relationship comedian. I don't know his name, but we're listening to him this weekend, and he's like he was talking about the difference between women's brains and men's brains, and how at the end of the day, most women, and I'm just generalizing, and he generalizes, and he's like, women are interconnected. Their brain is interconnected. All the events are connected, and everything's all connected. And men, our brains are boxes, right? And every box has to be carefully put on a shelf, taken off the shelf, opened up carefully, and we look in the box, and we're in the box, and then we carefully, put the box back together, and we put it back on the shelf. And one of the references he made was, how was your day today, right? Because, that's something like as like now that I'm engaged, and like that's something that like happens at the end of the day, like, oh, how was your day today? And every time I get that question, my mind just, and this is what he was kind of making fun of, literally goes blank. It's like, what the fuck just happened today? I have literally no idea. And I would honestly have to look probably at my schedule to even remember any of the meetings that I had today. Because I'm at home now and I am no longer working. But what is something that I learned today?
This is why because we asked the question and then you had to look back at your day and saw just a shit ton of opened boxes.
Dude, okay.
It's like someone sent you all of the packages and you had to open all of them and just rifled through a bunch of shit and you have no idea what it was. So that's pretty much the guy's brain at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like, oh, is there even anything in that box? I don't know.
I just spent an hour diving in.
Spent an hour unpacking.
Yeah, but hey, to tackle with some bullish positivity, like, what a great question to think back to like, if you're going to go through a day as strenuous as it is every single day, you better take something from it to build to the next day.
So I think one of the things to reflect on today that I learned is that even like I'm always thinking, 50,000 feet ahead, or I'm always trying to think, a couple of years ahead or whatever, that even those, my capacity or my limit can even be completely exploded. Like I'm not even there. I'm not even there from a capacity perspective or an understanding perspective. 2 weeks ago, we got this 100,000 square foot space. It's fucking huge space. I mean, that's a big building, right? 100,000 square feet. And I'm like, dude, we could probably make like tens and hundreds of millions of face shields in this space. We outgrew the space. Today I'm walking through with the guy, Eric's Bike Shop guy, and who's awesome, by the way. Plug for Eric's Bike Shop. Anyone who's listening to this, I'll probably buy you a fucking bike at this point from Eric's Bike Shop, but this guy's incredible.
Proud purchaser of Eric's Bike Shop.
Yeah, dude,
Love
me
them.
too. Me too. And,
Is Eric Eric
Yes.
Eric guy?
Eric.
He's a Minnesota
it's
guy.
literally Eric. Dude, he's fucking cool, too.
I need to get that guy on the podcast.
And, dude, I'll hook you up with him. I'll give you a cell phone after this.
Yes.
Just don't tell him you got it from me.
Right.
But
We'll
anyway,
bleep that
we're
out.
walking through we're walking through the warehouse that he's essentially letting us use, right, to assemble all these. We're renting it from him for a couple months. And he's like, oh, dude, like I have to move all my bikes in here in like a month. So like, and I was like, oh shit, like we're already exploding out of this space. And I'm like, I have to find like 500,000 square feet to like move our shit to after a month and a half of this. And so what did I learn? I don't know. I learned that I think my bandwidth and everything is like pretty big, but it's not even a fraction of probably what it can be. I don't know. That's what I learned today. My mind can continuously be fucked.
Yes.
But that's kind of the humility part of it. Is
Yeah.
you're not invincible.
Yeah.
If you need someone to build you a 500, well, how much?
Dude, what are you doing with that parking garage? Maybe we just move her somewhere to the parking garage.
Well, we're
Yes.
done with the parking garage in 6 weeks. If you want to,
and nobody's in it. Does it have good lighting?
has great lighting. But
We got
if
great
you want,
transportation.
if you want me to build you one, I got you. let me know. Seriously, we have plenty of people that are wanting to work to build something that's very simple, like a manufacturing building.
If you can build it in 2.5 days, I
Yeah.
think we're in.
Yeah, seriously, you can build. You can what's the square footage? Seriously,
We will probably need like 200-ish thousand square feet.
so that's a. You're just talking a square pad, right?
Yeah, with loading docks.
I mean, 2 days, or what did you say, 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2
How many?
days. 2 days. It's a little aggressive, I know. It's a little aggressive on the timeline.
How about a month?
Can't do a month.
Okay.
It's too long.
2 weeks?
2 weeks would be pushing it, but we could maybe do 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I think we can make that happen.
All right.
Seriously. PCL Construction, we got you. We have we literally have people like waiting around like, why the fuck isn't this investor doing this? Why aren't we building this hotel?
Pausing.
Everybody's
Yeah,
pausing. But if you have to hit the go button right now, dude, construction is essential. We call 40 people, we call 40 laborers from the hall, pay them at the normal American rates. Now we're building your place in 2.5 weeks. Literally think it could happen overnight.
Decky bombshells.
I'm not kidding. Like, your
2
biggest
weeks timeline, 200,000 square feet. All right, go.
It's one level, right? It's one level.
Yeah.
Dude, we can do that. We
Right.
just did 11 levels and built 7 or 8 of what you are trying to build. I think we can do it.
Like 50,000 of what we're trying to build.
Okay. Yeah. No, I my people will talk to your people and we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Just let me know the
All
start
of our
date.
people will talk.
All of our
Yeah.
people will talk.
They will have a conversation.
Right. Right. Exactly. I don't know if I'm the people, but I will let the other people know.
Yeah.
Cause my biggest question right now is who's gonna design this shit, and I guess it's up to you. So really, it doesn't matter to us.
I mean, we could use the paneling that you guys use in here. frankly.
Menards, baby.
Yeah.
Where would you build it?
If you build it.
If
they
you
will
can't
come.
answer me that right now, you can't tell me what I built in 2 weeks.
Well, we're going to build an opportunity zone. That's a whole nother conversation, but we're
An
building
opportunity zone.
opportunity zone.
I love the name
Okay.
already.
So there's opportunity zone and new market tax zone. Have you guys heard of these?
I have not.
No.
Okay.
So
So
opportunity zone and new market tax.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's little zones all over Minnesota and frankly all over the United States. But there are these little sectors that the government has decided needs development. Okay. Opportunity zones are incredible because essentially what it is it's tax-free money over a certain amount of time if you keep your money in there. It's an incentive for people to take their money or their profits or their gains or whatever and invest in areas or buildings or businesses that are kind of, dilapidated. And that's a loose term because frankly, the location we're in right now is technically an opportunity zone, and it's nice. It's northeast,
Right.
and it's a couple areas. It's like block by block, but new market tax zone is an incentive area also from the government that gives you interest only financing for 7 years, and after 7 years they forgive 30% of the debt. So we originally were going to be building or renovating in February with an incredible group, Interstate Real Estate Development. These guys own a lot of properties all over the place. Great guys. And that's who linked us up with Eric's Bike Shop and where we're at right now. So super happy. We're going to be partners with them in the next building, but we paused it. So rather than doing that in February, we're going to probably be doing it in March or April or May or something, just to kind of see what happens over the next couple months, because we think there are going to be new opportunities that come up, no pun intended, in opportunity zones that we'll be building, renovating, whatever. So
okay, so the opportunity zone makes more sense because you're just renovating a space that needs to be. It's just
could be new
extremely
building
cheaper.
too.
Oh,
Could be new building too.
Oh, because you could demo and then rebuild. And
Yeah.
that's it. So you're buying a zone essentially.
Yeah, you're buying a piece of land or a building
Yeah.
that's in a zone that has a different tax classification
Right.
from a profit perspective and what you can keep or do with your money from
Right.
a profit.
So then
Is that like a little more removed from the cities, like Fridley?
No.
Okay.
There's zones in Minneapolis and St. Paul,
Oh, hell
like
yeah.
literally,
Dope.
in the cities.
Okay.
Yeah. They
Same.
are also out there too.
Yes.
But there are quite a few locations in the cities.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
then, are you as someone who's like looking to buy this land? Are you just like looking for a bond that can like, or an investment or some sort of financial with a different insurance or a different interest that can basically beat what your projected one is for that opportunity zone? Trying to understand like the hot why it's so
we're
important.
looking to create the opportunity zone for Backpocket
Right. We're trying to do the same thing.
because this is only temporary.
So with an opportunity zone, it basically so let's say you guys moved into an opportunity zone, okay? Which frankly, like over by Woodchuck, that's where we are. Someone could invest in your company, and let's say I just take $100,000 out of the stocks, or whatever, $10,000 out of the stocks, okay? Now, typically, you got to pay capital gains, right, on the gains. Let's say let's not say I took $10,000 out. Let's say I took $10,000 of gains out, right? I'd have to pay capital gains on that. Now, if within 90 days I invest that into an opportunity zone business, let's say, so literally, I mean, let's use that as an example.
Yep.
Let's say you guys are in. Let's say this was an opportunity zone. This, frankly, it could be. I don't know. We got to look at a Google map, but this could be. If I invest in you guys and I put 10K or 100K or whatever into your guys' business, that's an opportunity zone business, and I don't have to pay gains on that. If I keep it with you guys, okay, for 10 years, if I keep my money in with you, there's benefits after 7, but the main ones are after 10. If I keep it with you guys for 10 years, and let's say you guys turn from a $1 million company to a $2 million company, okay? I pay 0 capital gains on the $1 million of gains.
Oh wow.
Typically, that'd be $330,000 or whatever. Depends on tax bracket you're in,
Sure.
right?
25, 30%.
You would literally save $330,000 in cash in taxes. It's over 10 years, but that's a lot of money.
But again, if you're building a manufacturing thing, if you're building it a quote unquote an opportunity within that opportunity zone, that's you obviously are building it for the vision of lasting for more than 10 years. Okay, and now that just beefs up your pitch to said investor.
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, we're doing all these incredible things. By the way, no worries.
Dope.
All right,
We're learning.
We're growing. God bless. This is great. Well, that was like the longest "What did you learn?" question of all time. So good shit, Ben.
Yeah.
You nailed that.
And you helped us learn. While you learned, we
we're all
learned.
learning.
think
We're all
everybody learned.
learning.
Yes.
Everyone's learning.
Absolutely.
Dope.
But dude, thank you so much for coming on again.
Thanks for having me.
This
Thanks for
was
having me.
an absolute blast. We reached out to you because a listener reached out and was like, you guys got to have Ben back on. Like, this is the perfect time to have Ben on. And we were blind to it. We weren't even thinking about having Ben back on. But God bless, we're thankful he hit us
God bless
back.
the listeners.
Yeah.
Yes.
God bless the
bless the
marketing
listeners.
interns.
Yeah.
No kidding. So thank you so much for coming on, man. I love
Thanks
you,
for
Ben.
having me. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap.
Oh, that was fun, guys.